to get in as we tweet that we're up. And we're going to get some stuff going there. I think we should put some lo-fi beats in there in the background.
That would be nice.
All right,
Fill the awkward silence.
You do you, sir.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to throw a little bit of lo-fi beats in there.
I might have to take that off of Amazon.
Lo-fi beats?
Yeah, like it was like a whole station. Just like it would play that. Like now it says it plays something else.
We got some,
Like it's
some
close,
tiny
but
lo-fi
it's not the
beats.
same.
Get
right.
Spotify then.
Let me, I'm going to go ahead and retweet us. You guys want to signal boost us at all? Make sure that people know that we are live and going.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't have access to Twitter.
Don't either.
Okay. Well, I put it on Facebook right now. So do that, and I will post. Go ahead and share that out.
I like how I can't share whatever you share. It says that I got tagged in something, but like according to like Facebook,
Really?
there's nothing there. Yeah.
Here, I'll share it to my personal page. You can see it. So, if you guys have the link and you guys want to follow the chat, if chat comes in and says anything, I'll repeat what they say. But you know, other than that, we're going.
Sweet.
So, let's do the easy part. Welcome to Nerds in the Dark. I'm Mikey.
Darnell.
Sarah.
Darnell. Sarah.
Mika.
Here we go. Thank you so much for joining us. That was a rough start, but we're here. Darnell lost video. And then we all moved places. So if you guys are following us in the chat, we all moved around. It's fine. It's okay. So, you guys that are watching, you guys know me because I've been streaming on this channel for a while. Darnell has been with us for a very long time and has been doing videos with us. So if you follow us from YouTube and you made it here, you will know who Darnell is. He's a longtime member of the Nerds in the Dark family. Malika and Sarah have been actually helping us a lot more behind the scenes. Malika helped us most recently with our video with Gail Simone, and she helped interview Gail. So very much thankful for that, and they both have helped with moderation. Malika, tell them your name, tell a little bit about yourself, and tell them how to pronounce it too. It's not like Malika or whatever. Say it with your chest.
Oh man, it's Malika.
There you
You
go.
would not believe the different things people have called me. Most recently, I have someone who keeps calling me Michaela, so that's been fun.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Currently, I'm working as a pharmacy technician for a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
On the side, I do a little bit of acting here and there, but mostly just working to put food on the table.
Okay. All right. Sarah, she's been helping us with moderation as well, and making sure that our content stays clean in our groups. So she's been very pivotal in that. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm Sarah. I'm a project manager at a tech company helping restaurants run payroll. Longtime nerd, first time podcaster. Happy to be here.
All right. Darnell, in case anybody
Lovely.
doesn't remember you, do you have something you'd like to say about yourself? Just in case.
I'm the guy who's usually in a mask, but like I didn't kind of like finding a mask.
Yeah.
So now I'm just in the dark.
Okay. Yeah. You're super dark right now. But it's okay. That's partially my fault. It's partially my fault that you're dark, and it's partially my fault that you're black. I take responsibility for that. You know, I'm not your father, but you call me daddy, and I appreciate it. So I'm taking responsibility.
I'm out.
All right. So we're here today to discuss an important topic, and it's an important topic to me, and it's an important topic to a lot of us because I see a lot of this happening, and I try to fight it every time that I see it. But it is an important thing for us to discuss. We're going to discuss today gatekeeping and nerd culture. So we're going to discuss like toxic habits, some of our personal experiences, and closing the gap. You know, because like nerdiness has become a lot more mainstream these days. So it's more accessible than ever. So I just absolutely hate to see gatekeeping. Anyone here, like, let's start off with the easy thing for those of you guys that don't know, what is gatekeeping?
Are you asking us, or are you?
Yeah, just anyone to say, to step on my toes, please.
Just take the ball there, Sarah.
We're off to
You
such
got
a
the
good
mic.
start.
You all were not ready for me to just. You guys were not ready for that layup, I swear.
No.
This is what you usually do. All right. Yeah, you just put in big words.
No, that's fine. Okay, so gatekeeping is a way of keeping people from entering your community, and that can take many forms. Sometimes it's, you know, it's saying, hey, you can't sit with us, or sometimes it's quizzing people that just join in for nerd culture. You know, it's just like, oh, you like this show, it must be because, you know, you really think just the dude's hot or something, and it's not because you know anything, and I'm going to make sure that I know that you don't know enough by asking you 20 questions. You know, or even in the cosplay community, I see it all the time when you see a cosplayer, you know, that's a person of color, and they cosplay one of their favorites characters, and then somebody comments, oh, you can't comment them because they're not black. That's gatekeeping. Like, cosplay is for everyone. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Does anyone have a personal experience with gatekeeping?
I've had a few times that it's happened. It's not fun.
I'm gonna let the ladies go first.
What?
He said he'll
I'm
let the
letting the
ladies
ladies
go
go
first.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Sarah?
Oh, you already halfway through the story. Go ahead.
Okay. So I used to live in DeKalb. I used to go to NIU, and we have our own comic shop, Groundcracker Comics. Loved going there. Always like a safe spot for me. But there was this one guy constantly there who was just like, "Oh, why are you here? Like, you know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for girly comics? Are you looking for female-led comics? Oh, do you know enough about Marvel or X-Men to even be here?" And it was just frustrating because I always had to explain that I've had, like, grown up with it. I have brothers who read comics. I've grown up with comics. So I have always had to, like, push that I was knowledgeable on. And I hated that. It definitely ruined the safe space that I had developed.
That sucks to hear. I'm sorry that you went through that.
Yeah. I would say for me, just as a woman, it's really hard to get into the culture and be taken seriously. I don't really have like a specific story, but whenever I would go to like a Comic Con or even to like a comic shop to look around, browse, try to like get into something new, it was always like, well, since you don't know about this already, we're not really going to let you in. And it made it very hard to even learn the culture or learn about the new, I would say, like, learn about the new anime show, because I automatically didn't know enough starting out.
Sad face.
Yeah. It's, yeah. One of the reasons that I wanted to bring in extra people for this is not only are you guys a part of the Nerds in the Dark family, but I also recognize that, like, I haven't experienced a lot of it. It's more like an outsider looking in and seeing that this stuff exists in the community, and not so much things that I've personally experienced myself. And it's something that I recognize, like, coming from a place of privilege, that, like, nobody looks at the nerdy dude and says, hey, you don't belong in nerdy space. Like no, they, like, I'm just a dude, and they're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you're fat and you have glasses, you belong here. So, like, you know, I've personally never experienced that, so I wanted to make sure that I had voices that actually represented the issue. And Darnell, do you have any stories?
Mine are pretty much just trivial ones because of my dislike for a particularly movie franchise.
Okay.
And I'm told, you know, constantly I'm not a true fan because I don't like this particular movie franchise or a certain anime franchise with a lot of yelling. And it's like, I can like other stuff, I just don't like those. But apparently, I'm just an idiot who doesn't know what I'm talking about.
It's almost like if you don't know the main character's second cousin's backstory, you're not good enough to join the community.
Yeah, that's something that is personally, like, I've had people that quiz me on stuff, but I've never, like, had it. It's never for me come from a place of, like, exclusion. It's more been like, you know, like, I don't know why this exists, but there's, like, this nerdy thing that, like, just kind of feels superior to somebody in something, you know, like, who's the biggest fan. And so for me, it was never a thing of excluding, but I've had that discussion where people just come up and they're just like, you're clearly not as big as fan as I, because I know who hung out with this guy in page 3, panel 2, and the ringtone on his phone was actually written by Pearl Jam. Like,
I mean, I would argue that's gatekeeping, though. I
mean,
would say if you're being looked down upon because you're not elite like him, that's almost gatekeeping.
I agree with that, because I know that there's people that definitely, like, do that, but I know that any time that I was specifically involved in that, when it was done to me, it wasn't like an exclusionary thing. So, like, I know that it wasn't like the same thing, you know, which is like, that's why I know that, like, I'm like, hey, it wasn't the same for me. I can't speak from the same experience and come from the same place, because, like, nobody ever made me feel unsafe or unwelcome.
Must be hard.
You know, it's just it just is, and that's kind of the thing with privilege. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know the problem exists until you are made aware that it's a problem. You have the privilege of not knowing that it exists. You have the privilege of ignorance. So, you know, that's just where it is. So what are some other, like, toxic habits you've seen or experienced that, like, just kind of exist in the daily?
The cosplay community. It's pretty toxic. It tries not to be, but there are certain areas or places where it gets really toxic.
Yeah, that's stuff I've witnessed in the comment section. Hey, Play Ultraroid.
I noticed the difference between, like, a low budget cosplay and the high budget cosplays, and have the amount of shit talking that goes into it. It's like,
Yeah.
But damn, son, like,
Yeah,
I started to spend $5,000.
I've definitely seen that too, where you know somebody puts out like the smaller cosplayers will definitely join up together, and like you'll see a cosplay done for like $100, cosplay done for $500, and you know a $30 one, and everybody's like, oh man, this is really good. You did so much with so little, and then if it hits the higher tiers, you know they're like, ha ha, you didn't carve your own shoulder pads. It's just like,
Your lines are crooked. Like, sorry.
oh my god.
Not enough
Actually, didn't
fruits.
that happen to you at C2E2? Like somebody gave you, like,
Yes.
yeah,
But granted, she was in jest, but at the same time, like,
yeah,
there was definitely other people who have, like, straight up have said things, and it's like, oh, really? Like, I don't know who you are, you're trying to talk to me
it's.
like that.
I definitely had. So I felt self-conscious at C2 because that was my first time like cosplaying ever, and I was walking like everything was like handmade that I had, and it wasn't good. So I felt self-conscious about it, but people were like, "Oh, it's so good," you know. I like it, and people stopped me for photos, and then like even like the person that gave you flack, like still looked at mine and was like, "Okay."
That's because yours was your very first one, and I had done multiple before, so it's like, oh, I'm supposed
So
to
like you were able to be judged.
Yeah. This is like, alright, man, my first time cutting foam and trying to glue it. Everything else was just like, I picked some
Tino
clothes
commented,
and,
he
like,
goes, whoa, you don't carve your own shoulder pads? Yikes. Chippy Monkey 00 says, nerd culture feels trendy half the time, like the Magic the Gathering set drops, and because you don't know the best card of the set or how to properly draft it. More recently, D&D, where guys need to follow with some toxic or vile trends. Honestly, that needs to go into therapy. Yeah, 100%. Tino Plus Ultra says, whoa, you don't carve your own shoulder pads? Yikes. Play Ultra Ride. I carved my own turkey, though. That counts for something. So, you know, you carve your own turkey, but, you know, that is what it is. Hold on a second. I just noticed that the chat wasn't showing up on the stream. So I'm moving that to the front because that wasn't there for some reason. And moving up the sound alerts. I don't know why that wasn't at the top. I'm out here. This is like the worst thing. We're just not doing well today. I don't know. we were doing well. And then yes, yeah, it is our first time having. And by the way, I didn't discuss this with you guys or show it off at all, but I called it Nerd Table Discussion. And if you're not watching the stream, you don't know that Nerd Table Discussion is right above your heads. So I don't know. I just kind of named it that, and I thought that kind of sounded cool because I was like thinking of round table. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
I made an executive decision there, so I hope you guys like the sound of Nerd Table Discussion. But
I'm not complaining.
yeah, that's what it is. So it's interesting enough what Chippy Monkey said, because you know it's the trendiness of nerd culture, right? Because currently, like, it's becoming more and more accessible to be a nerd, right? D&D is easier than ever to get into. We have blockbuster movies coming out every year based on different comic books. Tino Plus Ultra says, I've never seen this format before, but it's original. He's commenting on us having a discussion because he just started doing that a couple months ago, and I helped him out with that, and I totally stole this idea from him. So it is an original idea, original stolen idea. OC, do not copy. But yeah, it's more accessible than ever. We have mainstream blockbuster movies that come out every year that are advancing nerd culture. One of the biggest shows of the last decade was like Big Bang Theory, which was just a show about random nerds. And people can argue whether or not they liked the show, but it became very popular. And so as it becomes more accessible, more people are becoming interested in nerd culture. Which is why I think it's important to discuss how we bridge the gap, you know? Oh, we lost Malika. So the camera looks, the stream looks terrible right now, and we're all out of whack. But that's fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. I think you have two issues here. You have nerds who are almost defending their nerdism from people who are getting involved with a quick trend. Yeah. Nice glasses, Mikey. Thank you. Oh,
I see that.
He's talking about because it switched around. Like, because right now Sarah's where I was, so that's fine. Nothing wrong with people getting into it, but understand finding the right group. Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to find out who you'll jive with, because like you're not always going to have a great experience in the wild, and I think it's important to look for a good group that will be there and support you, because it's very important. Tino Plus Ultra says you also have a set of nerds who just have that elitist personality. I don't condone either. Yeah, no, that's 100% it too.
Subs versus subs.
Yep. Yeah, that discussion happens all the time. Like, oh, you people watch dubs, so you suck. It's just like, yeah, what? They just watch it that way. I don't care. Like, I like subs better, but do I judge people for watching dubs? Like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, you're still watching the same show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Or that manga. That's the one that always weird to me, because like manga and anime and like comic books and like just normal cartoons, how people like will it's because they like Cyborg isn't the right way like he was in the comics or something. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. I
that
like
kind of stuff. Yeah. I think it's important to like kind of step away from some of that stuff. Like if you've watched, if you've read the books or whatever, or you read the comics, hey, it's not exactly the same, but it was adapted for a wide audience. So it's important to like make sure that you actually are like aware of that. You see, I'm trying to put this video back up. There we go, because Malika's back, so I can put our names back up. Yeah. Let's see. Pro Ultra Wide says, I watch dubs all the time.
Sucks.
Fight me. Tino Plus Ultra, he says, I'll shut up and listen. I just wanted to get involved a little. It's cool, man. We actually welcome the discussion. We want people like talking in here, so that's actually great. But yeah, I definitely think like with the closing gap, it's something that I just don't understand. Like from personal experience myself, like while I wasn't like a big person who, like I wasn't big on experiencing gatekeeping growing up. I was the nerdy kid growing up. Like I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a small group, and like that was it. And when I was growing up, it was always me on the outside. So now that stuff's becoming popular, it's like, dude, you want to fucking talk about X-Men? Like, let's talk about X-Men. In my head, I can't imagine talking to somebody and being like, fuck you. Who do you, like, who's your favorite character? No, get wrecked. That's not, that, like, you can't do that. And, like, it's, trolling is one thing, but, like, to actively keep people out of your community, like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So before we hopped on this nerd table thing, I was looking up some things on gatekeeping, specifically women being gate kept away from like any kind of community that they're interested in that typically they wouldn't be. And what you just said, keeping people away, I found this quote and I really liked it. Being a gatekeeper means you're okay with letting something you're allegedly passionate about stagnate and eventually dying off. And that's essentially what it is. If you're gatekeeping such an amazing community and not letting new people in, when you're done with it,
Welcome to
Gatekeeper.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And so just for people in the chat that actually want to know what it is that we are talking about right now, we actually saw this video a couple days ago that sparked us talking about this. I'll just drop that in the chat. So it's a TikTok about gatekeeping. So that's in the chat there for anybody that wants to see it. We were gonna play it parts of the video here, but we're having some issues with the browser extension. But it's a great video on the effects of gatekeeping and what gatekeeping really looks like. But yeah, Sarah, like I couldn't imagine like some of the spaces that I enjoy going away just because people won't let new people in. We got some comments here. Tino Plus Ultra says, I felt that I was severely bullied for buying those big anime shirts in the late 90s and early 2000s. Thank God Tsunami came out. It helped lower the bullying, but it was bad, man. Oh, do you mean like those big, like almost like Hawaiian shirts with like the anime dudes on them? Like where you would buy like, it was like a Hawaiian shirt almost, but it had like Vegeta on it or something. Those were cool, man. I didn't have a lot of those. I had like 2, and I was like, oh, these are really cool. But like, yeah, I got shit for those too.
And a Samurai Dragon one.
Nice. Chippy Monk 00 says, is it elitist or people's expectations being to fundamentally too high, like D&D, how everyone expects Critical Role level of production or quality? Sorry, I go to D&D, but that's my favorite nerdy thing. No, it's okay that you talk about D&D. We actually have been wanting to play D&D for a while, but we just don't have a DM. We don't have like the ability. We don't have people to run the game for us, but we really want to learn it. So we actually love when people talk about D&D because we're really interested. But you're right, like Critical Role is really popular, so it, you know, they actually have a production team, so they can do production value. But like everyone else, they just kind of play it. There's a couple dudes in front of cameras, or dudes and ladies in front of cameras. Play Ultra Ride says, with flames like a hot rod. I think he's talking about the shirt. Tino Plus Ultra says it was exactly those types of shirts. Those are so early 2000s. Bring email back. Oh, bring them back. Autocorrect on Play Ultra Wide. Yeah, dude, those shirts were really cool. Those were that was like some definite like old school stuff. Like that's, man, core memory unlocked. Jesus.
I just remember the rayon polyester, and they were just so hot in the summer, so it sucked dick.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were pretty out there.
Yeah. Totally DM for you guys, but you know how chaotic that would get.
I like some chaos.
And it's a gummy bear dragon.
Exactly. I have an option to eat it or die. Cool.
That sounds like a dream.
Roll for initiative because y'all got stuck in the gummy.
As punishment, you have to watch 20 hours of the TikToks I find.
That's too chaotic for us. We're out on that.
I have other things to do in my life.
Okay. So, with nerdiness continuing to grow, how do we make the community more accessible for people? Like, what can we do to be more welcoming?
Go ahead.
Sarah, you go, Sarah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's kind of like with everything going on today, we kind of same rules kind of apply. Can't really whole ignorance is bliss thing. If you see gatekeeping, call it out. Then if education is important, and making sure that everybody does feel like they have a role or are welcomed into the community that they're trying to join.
Yeah. Like, I have two things. Is like, one is like, nobody owes you an explanation of why they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, you like it? That's it. And then two is like, okay, cool. I might not like this movie franchise that shall not be named that I think is overrated. It's like, hey, I can at least find some middle grounds. Like, I do like the fight scenes. I don't like the movie franchise as a whole, but like, y'all have really solid fight scenes. Find some common ground, please, and just talk about things you like instead of asking 20 million questions on like, you're watching it wrong, or like, well, you have to like know these facts and really enjoy it. I'm like, well, I don't. I can just watch it and like, you're just read this and like it.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think like that knowledge is inherently needed. Like there was a part of that video that we shared where the guy says like, oh, like Sailor Moon's cool, but like nobody's got the time to read 500 issues of a manga. And he's like, oh, you want to get into Batman? Well, you have to read 80 plus years of issues and every single tie-in, or else you won't understand it. Like, no, that's not how it is. Tino plus Ultra, he says, he used to get in a fight at school, getting bullied. So to an extent, I sometimes get a little upset when I see the trends and people doing it just because it's cool. You got to remember that people like you and me pioneered the way to make this acceptable. Chippy Monkey says that a gummy dragon would have rough terrain due to sticky floors. Plato Wide says, just don't be a douche. Nerd culture is huge. There's a place for everyone here. Tino Plus Ultra agrees with Play Ultra Wide. Just one of those things where I agree. Just we got to be cool with everybody. And Tino, I definitely agree with part of what you said, that it's certainly interesting to see people like jump into something that you used to like be into, or you were always into, so using D&D as an example, right? I used to play D&D way back in the day when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old, and I loved it, but nobody played it, not a single soul. So I was never able to play it, and so here I am 20 years later wanting to play, and everyone's playing it, and there's a little bit of like a tinge of it hurting, because you're just like, man, everybody just like everybody's into it now. Like, where were all of you when I like needed somebody in high school? But at the same time, like, I would never try to keep somebody out of it. Like, people like me because it's cool. It's like, that means it's a better time than ever to find your group. That's my like opinion on it. Chippy Monkey says, learning as you go is perfectly acceptable. I play 3.5e, but understand if people would want to play 5e. Chippy Monkey views 3.5 is nostalgic. That's interesting. Like, 3.5 is nostalgic, because like I didn't even, like, 3.5 wasn't even out when I was playing. So like, that's so interesting to me to be like, oh, that's the nostalgic one.
I don't even know what that means. So
that's the editions of Dungeons and Dragons. So like, when I was playing, edition 3 was still brand new, and it was then, and then 3.5 came out like I think 2 years after I stopped playing, and now they're on edition 5e. So that's just that, like, or I should be like, oh, you don't know, so we can't talk about it. Toxic behavior. Like, is that
motherfuckers ain't shit.
right? Oh my god. Okay, so what else? I mean, we talked about pretty much the majority of topics that we had planned, personal experiences, kind of toxic behavior we see, how to close the gap, and what we can do to be more welcoming. But we can open it up for some more discussion with the comments. Tino Plus Ultra says, being someone who was bullied bad by normies for just being myself, the last thing I'm going to let happen is a nerd bully someone who wants to be a part of the community. Absolutely. Absolutely. We lost Malika again. So let me go ahead and just get rid of that. We're starting up a GoFundMe. We're and a Patreon. We're gonna put we're gonna pay for Malika's internet with a Patreon so she can connect to video chat. She needs some Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we're not gatekeeping her. It's just the internet.
We're trying to get her in. That's what we're trying to do. But it looks like she's reconnecting. Let's go ahead and put them.
Let us help you.
Yeah.
She's keeping this up.
Oh my God. Yo, she gotta talk. She gotta talk with Xfinity, man. They gatekeeping her. Comcast, we're calling you out.
That's what they do.
Oh my God.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Welcome back. Welcome back. How was it?
I need better internet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've either been frozen for most of this or just off for most of it.
Play Ultra Wise says Comcast is the real bullies.
Facts. Why did nobody warn us?
They did, but it was AT&T who's just another bully. It's like, hey, which one of us are you gonna go with? Like, he's gonna steal your lunch money every day, but I'm gonna murder you. So come on.
Okay, but who's who in that scenario?
The problem is that you don't know. You don't know which one's the problem.
I mean, if I were to guess, though, Comcast would be the one to kill you.
Yeah, they just charge your bill like you can never cancel.
Comcast would charge you for the murder.
Like if you're dead, you can never cancel autopay.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like we got a body removal fee over here.
Charge us with a credit card.
Could you imagine a technician just showing up at the funeral with a hand with a bill in it?
Hey, we're gonna have to cut the cord on this funeral. He didn't pay up, so we gotta take the priest away.
Hold on, there's a reactivation fee.
That's that for respect.
Yo, what if you had to pay to like come back to life? Like, what if they charged you and like they would just be like, no, that's it. Like you're you want an extension? Like $50, let's go. You just rise up like, ooh.
So what I'm hearing is that Comcast are also art alchemists.
Yes. That or necromancers.
Can we argue both?
Outcasts are Dungeons and Dragons people, dragon gummy thing.
Comcast has a gummy dragon.
That's how Dungeons and Dragons works. We take on Comcast.
It's gonna be our next episode.
Oh my God. We've gone off the rails. We've gone off the rails on our discussion.
Slightly.
Yeah. So one thing I want to talk about with gatekeeping. So we see gatekeeping in a bunch of different like places. Chippy Monk says cleric or necromancer, same concept, just different names. That's a good one. So we see gatekeeping in like different forms. I think like, so the one that hits me the hardest, I think, is when I see it in like the cosplay community, because I think that's the one that's closest to the one that's like recognizable to me as an issue, because like a lot of times when I see gatekeeping there, it's like a lot of it's about race, and so like that's directly noticeable for me, you know, especially because I see so much with race, you know, and like, you know, I mean, anyone that follows me, at least on here, knows that I'll have a bad day in my stream, and I'll just be like, oh, I don't want to talk politics today, and then 5 minutes later, I'm just like, so the thing is, and I just start talking about like Black Lives Matter for 20 minutes, because it just is what it is, and it's ingrained within me to speak on the things that are bothering me, like culturally and racially, because it's hard to separate that today. So when I see like cosplayers being treated poorly solely because of their race, that sticks out like extra hard to me, and it's the weirdest thing, and I don't get it. It's like, you see, it's mostly from like white cosplayers, which is the weirdest thing, and like I don't understand that one. Just like, oh, like, hey, you look really good, but you can't be Deku. Like Deku's not black. It's just like, well, you can't be Deku either. He's Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
my thing is like the great race is the thing that I noticed. But the other thing I noticed is that like on my Twitter, like I follow a lot of women,
mm-hmm.
and it's like the women who like sometimes the women's cosplays are like really sexy, whatever, mm-hmm. and like dudes are like get mad and you're like, oh, you're just a hoe, whatever, like you're not really a fucking nerd, and it's like, why are you mad that the hot chick likes the same things that you like? Like, you're just fucking like making it harder for people to date you.
Yeah.
Like, that's the prime person I want to date. Like, oh, you mean like the hot chick likes the same things I like?
Yeah.
Like, by all means.
It's definitely hard to be a woman in the cosplay community, but it's even harder when you're a woman of color, because you're constantly second guessing everything you're doing. Am I skinny enough to do this cosplay? Am I the right race? Are they gonna look at me funny? I'm playing this white character, but I'm Hispanic. Am I gonna get crap for it? This person's a twig, but here I am, a plus size girl. Like, everything we do, we second guess, because we know that there's gonna be tons of people who have something to say to us about it, and it's hard. Like, when I do cosplays, I first start off doing cosplays that were relatable to me, because, oh, she's a Latina. Oh,
well,
she's
hey,
a
thank you
person
for
of
the
color.
follow, Miss Mama Mina. Is that Abby? I don't know, but like I feel like she uses like Mama Mina in a lot of things. It'd just be funny if like if it was just a random follow that wasn't that uses a username that's similar to someone we know. That'd be really funny. Oh, it is Abby. That's funny.
Since your sister Malika just brought up like the whole race thing, was I noticed that like white cosplayers don't know a lot of black cosplayers and dismiss black cosplays as like not like as it's kind of like when I went as Luke Cage this year, and so many like white cosplayers didn't know who the fuck Luke Cage was. It's like, how the fuck are you like? Yeah. And I was trying to take photos of like the Defenders, and like they all knew who all the other people were, but they didn't know who Luke Cage was. I was like, how do you know all the white characters and not the black one?
That's something that like just inherently bothers me so much when the discussion of race comes up in comics, because people will argue that there's representation already in comics. Like, oh, there's so many black characters, I don't understand why we need more black characters. But it's like, okay, but if someone cosplays a black character, you have no idea who they are. Like, if there's so many and they're so recognizable, and and you read all of them so that you know that we don't need any more, why don't you recognize somebody like Luke Cage? And like, by the way, that was a proper Luke Cage that you did. Like, spot on Luke Cage. Like, Gail Simone loved you. You died a little inside when she recognized you. and that was a thing that, like, you know, that's a point of pride, and I love that. But like, to see so many other people who are just like, who's that? Why did he want a picture with us? Like, like, representation matters. I have always said that, and it's always something like, you know, if you see like a different, you know, if a character looks like you, like, that matters. Like, you identify with them more. You know, like when I was growing up, I really identified with Peter Parker, but there weren't that many Latino characters. There still aren't, you know. But like, man, if there had been a Miles when I was growing up, like, if there had been a Miles Morales when I was growing up, I would have lost my goddamn mind. Like, I already love Spider-Man, but I would have been like Spider-Man, like, fanatic. But yeah, representation matters. Can't say it enough.
Like, I feel like you had like
And
one
not
more
just,
thing to
like,
say on
race
your. But
Based on the list, that was pretty much everything. And we can open it up some more for the chat. The chat's been real quiet ever since I said let's open it up to the chat. So, but welcome into the chat, Abby. I know that you came in and you were like, yeah, it's me. But do you have anything to say about gatekeeping? We would love to hear from everyone. Or if you have been in the chat and you've heard some of the things, what are some things that you think that people can do to stop gatekeeping? Hey, Sal. Deku Hawk just said my name with a bunch of E's. So I appreciate you coming into the chat. Chats are good for the algorithm, and I appreciate it.
can't believe that.
So one of the biggest things that I'll say too, like, all right, so we talked about like cosplay, and we talked about like comics a little bit, but how do you feel about like gatekeeping for shows or for video games? Like, I know that gatekeeping is like really big in video games. Like, there's a lot of like this idea of like, you know, I hear it all the time that like women don't really play video games, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? I know so many female gamers.
Don't you mean fake gamers?
Yeah, for real. I play certain video games. I'm not. I don't own a PS4 or like an Xbox or anything. Just because I'm not coordinated, and I also don't have the time. But I really, really enjoy watching Let's Plays and watching people stream, and I have kind of like my own knowledge from the games that way, and I really enjoy it. And I feel like I've almost been pushed out because, oh, you've never played it, so you really don't know. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I've never played it, but I still have this deep-rooted knowledge and love for this game in a different way that you do.
Let's Plays are totally my jam. I love Let's Plays. I play a lot of games, but I watch a lot of Let's Plays. Sometimes for games that I've played 20 times, sometimes for games that I've never played. Chippy Monk says,
Let's Play?
Let's Play is like when somebody watches someone else play a video game.
Oh.
Chippy Monk 00 says, like, the whole Spider-Man is Black fiasco. It's been the comics for years, since 2012 when Enter the Spider-Verse came out in 2018. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've had Miles Morales for years, but people were like really, they still talk crap about Enter the Spider-Verse. But that's just, that's part of the thing. Like, yeah, I kind of have this attitude about it where it's like, it's funny because we're here to talk about it, but I have this attitude that's like, don't even get me started. But it's like, we're here to get started. It's like the whole thing. But yeah, So, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now, Sarah. Who's your favorite Let's Player?
Conroy, hands down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He is hilarious, and just okay. So my favorite Let's Play that he ever did was, oh shit. Now that I'm on the spot, like I cannot think of this stupid. With the wolf.
With the wolf.
What is it? Yes.
Is it?
It's the Japanese game.
Okami?
Yes, Okami. So he has done 2 Let's Plays with Okami. And he is so knowledgeable and goes into, number one, the art history, the designers of the game, the producers, all while giving in-depth gameplay and making it so enjoyable to watch. Like, I watched like 10 episodes one day and didn't even realize it had been that long. It was fantastic.
That's good. That's good. I've done that before. I have a couple people that I watch. I've done that with like Game Grumps. I really like this. They're terrible at video games, but they are so funny. And like you'll watch them lose and the same thing. And like, you ever watched one and then like, we're on a severe tangent, but there's a can of worms that was open. But have you ever watched somebody in a Let's Play and you're just like, go left, go, like I saw you turn the camera, go left. How did you not see that?
That's me yelling at Chugga. Everything that Chugga does, I'm like, go left. It's right. You went past it.
How did you miss that? I saw it.
And there's like this giant Easter egg that he's talking about. He's like, yeah, I've been looking for this. And I'm like, bro, you walked past it like 2 minutes ago. Like, go back.
It's like the worst thing. So I put out a video. There was a clip the other day. I was playing Assassin's Creed Origins. I just started it, and so that game involves like sneaking, and I was laughing at the absurdity of it. That I was like looking around. I was like being like extra sneaky and just like watching everywhere I go. And I was like, haha, no one's gonna see me. And I walked to this thing, and I walked into the grass that was like going to immediately hide me. And I thought I had seen every possible angle. And immediately as I step into the grass, a guard just walks right past me. I had no idea he was there. And when I look back at the clip, I definitely had him on camera. And I was like, he was definitely, I just missed him. And I was like, so like there's a clip of me just like seeing him just walk past me and just busting out laughing. And then I just snuck behind him and killed him as if it was totally according to plan. But I think we've definitely discussed like everything that we wanted to discuss here. We have any closing thoughts?
Don't be a douche.
That's good advice. Amazingly good advice. Malika will give us her closing thoughts in about 10 minutes time when she reconnects. She is absolutely frozen.
10% of my OnlyFans would go to Malika's internet.
I guess while we're waiting, Sarah, do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, number one, can you change my handle on here to my Venmo to fund Malika's internet crisis?
Oh my god.
I don't even know anymore. Closing thoughts. Other than that, no, this is a really, really fun discussion, and I think that especially with our group and with Nerds in the Dark, it's important to have these discussions just so we can kind of get gatekeeping at the bud.
Yeah. I think it's very important. I think that in particular we've had some small issues in the group, but I think overall we have a decent small size crowd, and we don't really let in any kind of like toxic posts or anything like that like lets people out. And it's mostly due to like, you know, it's a team effort here because there's so many posts that we have submitted every day. Malika just keeps disconnecting and reconnecting. She'll make it.
We'll get there.
We have an image, but it's frozen again.
Oh no, wait.
So, if she reconnects, we'll ask her for her closing thoughts. But yeah, no, so Darnell says, don't be a douche. Sarah says we got to nip it in the bud. I absolutely agree. I think we need to make sure that we fight it at its source. And I think that the biggest thing is that we are allies to each other. You know, like I don't experience it often, but I comment when I see it, like hey, that's kind of a shitty thing to say, or you know, whatever. But I think you're right, it's got to be nipped in the bud. But Malika seems to have disconnected again, so we're just going to...
Can you hear me at least?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Let's
at least
have
you can hear me.
Let's have your closing thoughts.
Be more welcoming. Just teach those that are coming in that it's not right to gatekeep, and just be welcoming to avoid such things as gatekeeping, because it's easier to say, oh, don't do it, but show it. Like, lead by example. Don't be the person that's sitting there letting it happen. Prevent it from happening. Just
Okay.
making it a welcoming community makes everyone feel more welcomed.
Okay.
And it's, yeah.
All right, that's fair. That's a good way to end it. And so, with that being said, we are Nerds in the Dark. Again, I was Mikey. Darnell.
What's up?
Sarah. And Malika.
Oh my god.
So, you know, just we went around, we changed places. And the next time that you guys see us for a discussion, we'll have made sure that Malika paid her bill. So we're gonna make sure we gotta figure something out. We gotta get her that government stimulus check. We gotta make sure it gets done.
I'm just not gonna have video on at all. You'll just stick with sound from here on out.
We're gonna get a cardboard cutout, just sit her in front.
We're gonna like forcibly like knock down her door to update her camera. We're gonna be like, and she's like, who is it? The taxes. Oh god. You know, I sit here and I'd say something like we should never all be allowed in the same room, but we're doing this remotely, so it's just.
And most of y'all are sober, so.
This is why I'm behind the
At
scenes,
least
okay?
no one recognizes my face today.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was so rude.
Listen, listen. All right, I'll tell you. I was sober when I saw your face, and it made me soberer. I went into a dry I went into a dry nightmare that I was just like, oh god. Please don't take my lunch money.
Only slightly simple. You got
it comes from a place of love. Okay, let's see. Chippy Monk says, just understand that people have different expectations and fully communicating those things fully. Everyone has different levels of knowledge about the subject, and excluding them because they aren't as knowledgeable is douchey. Although I have to understand that some people are unreasonable pricks. Absolutely. There are some people that are just, you're never going to win over some people. But yeah, I mean, different expectations. It's one of those arguments of different strokes for different folks. And, you know, not everybody's going to be an extreme personality. But yeah, again, Thank you for joining us. We have been Nerds in the Dark, and we will see you next time. And that's it.
Okay.